Hello and welcome back to my regular series of Hammer. Now, only for this tutorial, because now we've got the VScript to work, but we haven't got the maps to work elsewhere because no one else has your map, sounds, scripts. But today you're going to learn how to distribute Hammer maps internally, which is a good thing. BSP is the final file process of the map which is built with the Hammer editor. So for us to create the map to play it, we have to convert it from a VMF to a BSP. If you want to see the map, see the objects, so like that, what we need to do is do map decompilation, which is from a BSP back to a VMF. That's only if you want to see the map or see the files in its entirety. But we don't really need to do that because we want to append the items and not view it, if you know what I mean. The source engine has a file structure and it does two checks. First, it checks the embedded file, which is the BSP, to see if the files exist within the compact file. If not, then the source engine will then go to the game directory path where your game is installed and see if it's stored in there instead. There's two key things you need to know, and this is corresponding path names. A relative path is the easiest one and the most neatest one to see. This is more desirable as the engine knows where the game is launched from, less errors, and more nicer to look at. And then you have the nasty one, which is absolute path. It's longer and it's prone to errors if the file does not exist. This problem still exists in relative path, but is more manageable as you don't have a long string to deal with. The tool today I'm going to use is called Pakrat. This software is just a GUI on what Valve uses to do it initially, which is the BSP zip, noticed here, which is part of the Hammer file or SDK source or content, whatever that folder is called. This is more neat as you can see stuff instead of looking at text. Notice here, we have relative path. We know this because there's no drive later. And what this means is it has to look within the game files inside the materials folders, but in this case, this is embedded, so this is relative path and not absolute. And that's another thing to be careful about. When you put something embedded into the map, you have to make sure you use relative path and not the full path, because that can lead to more errors. So let's just look at an example. Before we continue on, I do have a Discord channel. You can do your problems with Hammer or VScript in this channel here. It's a pretty neat channel. I try to help you with VScript if you need help with VScript. And there's quite a lot of people here, quite a lot. Not as much as I want, but it's decent enough. So if you need help or communication or any problems, head to my Discord and I'll try and help you. I'm definitely more here than what I am on YouTube. Once you've got Pakrat installed, have your map ready or any BSP you want to view. This is a very old one, so let's not panic about that. Let's go to edit. I noticed that we use, for Windows definitely, we have to use the Java, so ensure you have Java installed. And then we pass in the Pakrat jar. So we're initially running this but as a Java command, which is how we use to open it up. Now it asks for a map. So what we're going to do is, I think I can just drag it. Hey, you can drag it. So what you can do is you can drag it onto the .bat if you're in Windows. If you're in Linux or Mac, no idea. Good luck, have fun. So notice that the path here is relative and it's in the materials. So this makes it actually quite easy for you to append in a certain way. We can sort by type. So this is all material. This here is all the textures. We have the actual file itself. This is all packed within the file itself. So one thing to note is when you recompile your map from Hammer, you will lose all the stuff. So some have an option to add multiple things to it, like if you have a list or a TXT file. Some packaging software that does this can just basically run from A to B and add them all for you automatically. But Pakrat does not do that. There's other programs that does the same as Pakrat, which is more modern. But Pakrat is basic if you just want to do small additions to the map. Here we are, there's still quite a lot of path in. And here we are, here's the VScripts. Notice it's in VScripts, VScripts, just like Counter-Strike, but this is relative path, remember? and this will all be stored within the CSG folder. As simple as that. So for example, let's pretend that we want to add, and let's just append user data for a laugh. But notice that when we do that, whoops. So here we have the file that we want to append to this map. This is highlighted in blue for Pakrat, but for other programs it might be different. But notice that we use absolute path. So this actually has a drive with it. Now this is a problem because this specific file or drive may not assist in the user, and they definitely won't have a user called owner and definitely won't have a folder called util. So we need to change this into a relative path. So we probably would need to change this. So hit edit and then base this from the Counter-Strike file. Let's pretend that it's a config file. So let's change it to config for laugh and just want to put it into the CFG. If this is a script, we'll obviously do it to scripts, VScript. And then if you're done yours correctly, you'd put your name or whatever you call it in here to make it more neat. And there we go. Also, make sure you don't have an extra one afterwards. So for example, we're putting config, whatever this file is, into scripts, VScript in E7. Notice the size, this does impact your BSP file. So be cautious of what you want to add, and after that you hit save, and then you'd save it as a file if you want to re-extract it. So let's say we want to have this script here, we can hit save and we can save the file, but I won't recommend that because that's basically stripping away someone's work. So I wouldn't recommend that. You could do a scan if you want to do a scan. I'm assuming that's to allow you to automatically put in the stuff into the thing. This is pretty neat, but I haven't used it yet because I tend to do mine manually. And then you could do auto and it will just find any files from here that needs to be updated or appended, but I don't know if that's based from the information from the BSP. So remember that when you need to recompile a map or change anything from the map where the map has to be built again, you will lose all this information. So for my next tutorial, I'll be analysing Infernal's programming for the tic-tac-toe game, and you'll be surprised how mental it is. Be aware that I might not be able to do it as fast as I can, but I will try my best. So I'll see you guys in the next video.